The Page of Cups. Some of you guys may have to express your emotions this month. Really talk about them. Some of you guys may be trying to have children. Because the Page of Cups would be your baby, right? It'll be your child. Or if you guys are looking to adopt, that's one of them. But I feel like the Page of Cups really isn't necessarily just about children, because there is a nurturing element to the Page of Cups. But it's usually on something that's small, something that's, definitely manageable by a child. Like a fish or a pet of some sort, or a guinea pig or something like that. But this could also indicate puppy love as well. Like this could be like a small, spark of romance, a small spark of feelings towards somebody or toward an individual. Now, the Page of Cups can also indicate that this is somebody else coming in to communicate their feelings, to communicate their heartfelt. Selves to you, right? So I kind of get a feeling that there's definitely some messages regarding emotions this month that's definitely going to be significant. And it could be from your own child that may want to express something that they feel, maybe something that they've been kind of, learning and taking and cultivating and growing themselves. But yeah, let's see why the Page of Cups is coming up. Why is the Page of Cups coming up? Why do they need to know that? What is the Page of Cups for Scorpio? What is the Page of Cups for Scorpio? Okay, a burden being dropped. Let's see, what burden is this? What is the burden that is being brought up with the Page of Cups? Obviously something is overwhelming, so let's see what's up. The Two of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. Maybe it's a difficult decision to be alone. I think, honestly, you may have, the Page of Cups can also indicate that you have to just express how you feel about something. And that feeling may be that you are tired. Okay? I feel like the situation may be that you're tired with how something has been going on. I feel like you may be expressing the overload of responsibility and weight that you're carrying either in a relationship or a circumstance, and either you try and make a difficult decision between continuing to carry the load or completely being alone, doing it, going solo, going in a direction solo, just going to being single. Some of you guys may, maybe the whole situation is that you guys are seeing the situation from only two ways of doing it. I don't know if you guys have already communicated with the person how you feel and trying to figure out a solution for this, or you guys already have and you're left with only two options. But I feel like with the Two of Swords, when it comes to Two of Swords, right, there's a blindfold. You're not seeing the situation as clearly as you could be to help you make the right decision for you, or help you, pick the right truth that's yours, right? It's weird. So, why is this the message for Scorpio for this month? Why is the message for Scorpio, the Page of Cups, for this month? Oh, wow. Wow, okay. So the Page of Cups, like I said, is a message. And you have the Wheel of Fortune coming up as to why all this is coming up. Something's that you have an opportunity to do something, and I think it's to commit to a relationship again, because the Four of Wands is coming up here. So you guys have an opportunity possibly to re-stabilize a relationship, or to move to a higher place of commitment with a person from the past or someone that you already know. But the thing is that I think they're carrying a lot of baggage, and it's hard to figure out whether or not it's better to just kind of go your own way, knowing the baggage that this person's carrying. And this baggage could be a child. Like, I think the baggage could be that there's a child involved in the situation, or like a brand new one, not necessarily one that's already existing. I think this may be someone that's new, and this child has baggage with possibly another person, and you could love this child as your own, but would you just be better off being on your own and doing your own thing? I think that's the situation that's being torn from you right now. Some of you. Now, some of you guys, I think there is just simple, like, there is baggage here. Or there's some things that, I think the relationships in the past, you've always been trying to make work all the time. You've been working on them. You've been trying your best to make them work and putting your heart into it. But you haven't gotten that other reciprocation back. And you have thrived when you do things on your own. You create an empire. You create an empire on your own. You are very strong on your own. You know your worth. But the thing is that, when you don't have to consider someone, it's easy to make a lot of those decisions, but it gets lonely. So what best option is there? Do you communicate your feelings? Do you open yourself up and take the risk to possibly carry another burden? But the thing is, though, I think the biggest thing with the Two of Swords is that, again, I think there's a third option. And I usually don't see this with the Two of Swords. I usually say you got to pick one or the other, right? Because they're two contradicting truths. I feel like what you're having to figure out right now isn't necessarily as black and white as you're making it with the Two of Swords in your hand. I feel like there's a third option, and that third option may be that you consider your worth. You know your worth when you're alone. You know how committed you can be, how diligent you are at work when working on things, working on problems, working on situations, and you know that you have a really strong tolerance. You know that you can carry the weight of almost anything. But the problem is that you let the weight go on. Either you let the weight get too heavy, and you don't let anybody know that you need help until you're just done with it, or that the situation is that you never make it clear to the person that this is a problem. So I feel like the real thing I'm seeing here is the side that you're not seeing, right? The biggest, one of the options that you can have here is to express yourself, express what you need, express what you want, and look at what you want, and actually make plans to go after that goal. Because I feel like for a lot of you guys who you've been trying to make situations work, and you've been also carrying the weight of the relationship, and shouldn't have to, right? It's either you are isolating to get everything that you want, or you do everything alone, but you also kind of get a lot of passion, right? You get a lot of interaction with this person. So it's like you can't ever get one in between. I feel like you can get the in between, but you have to figure out what that in between is. You have to express yourself then in between. Okay. Let's see how this affects your love life specifically. Because I feel like for a lot of you guys, this may not have a lot to do with work. I mean, with love, it may have to do with work. Maybe there's some things at work that you just have to express that either is too much on your plate. You may have to delegate to your teammates, or you may have to figure out that, or maybe taking up your own business is what the Nine of Pentacles is suggesting. Being successful on your own. Thriving in your own business and not working underneath someone else. Because you can handle, with all this work, you'd probably get more benefiting you if you did it yourself. How's this affecting your love life? Well, you have the Two of Cups. So, right next to the Wheel of Fortune, I already kind of get this feeling that you're, there's somebody that is around you right now. I think this reading may have a lot to do with just relationships and not so much work. But if it does have a lot to do with work, if this is a reading that's only work-based, then there's somebody in your life that either, that you met that feels the same way about you, and it's helping you see what your needs are by them being themselves, by them being presented in your energy, or them being around you at all. Okay. The Lovers is such a great card. This is also the perfect partnership. So you may end up meeting someone that either this could be a friend. It doesn't have to be someone that's a legit lover and anything like that. But I do feel like you meet someone that just works really well with you. And it helps you see things from a perspective that maybe you haven't thought about seeing yourself. Why is the Two of Cups coming up for Scorpio in regards to their love lives? But it does also talk about, I think does suggest maybe there's new love that comes in. Someone that matches you, that feels the same way about you. Maybe there's a burden in regards to communicating your truth and maybe you're worried about it leaving you by yourself by expressing how you feel to this person. But I don't think that's the case. I think that expressing yourself is definitely worth the risk here, considering that it's causing it causes a burden here. Now the Four of Wands just came out. Wow. How this affected your love life? It's improved. It's, you've moved up in a higher place of commitment. The Four of Wands. It's improving your love life. This communication, the Page of Cups. I feel like you guys are just like bogged down by things, though, with the Ten of Wands. But I feel like this person, if communicated, I think you guys could communicate and work together. Work together as a team. You don't have to do it by yourself. And I feel like the idea of doing it by yourself doesn't, you don't have to do it alone. Like you can use the foundation that you work so hard to create to take problems and dissect them together. But it comes from talking first. It comes from communicating your feelings. You know what I mean? And I feel like the Ten of Wands could be that you're carrying a burden that's, so maybe that's something that's your problem, something that's personal to you. And, you have a lot of pride in probably wanting to figure out how to do it yourself. But it leaves you isolated. That problem that you're solving leaves you isolated. And I feel like the only way for things to get better is if you express what you need. Trusting the foundation that you made to withstand any sort of, problems that you have, even if it is strictly your issue. But I think it requires trusting the direction, trusting the choice that you make and moving forward with that. So let's see what the overall outcome comes up for you guys, Scorpio. Let's see what you guys come up with your outcome. Alright, so your outcome is the Six of Cups. That is awesome. Another soulmate card. So, the Six of Cups does talk about the past. I think you guys may reconnect with someone that you used to know, someone that you love, and someone that you've had history with, or you guys go back to a time where you were the most happy, where you, where you felt the most in love. Okay, I think you guys, in some way, recapture some of your innocence. But how the outcome is that you guys, I feel like you just enjoy the connection. There's a lot of reminiscing in this reading. A lot of it. And I kind of get this feeling that with the Six of Cups in your outcome, I do think that someone old comes in, but I do feel like this reminds you of a time of deep love. I feel like you also feel like a strong past life connection with this individual here. I think the bond deepens. Okay, but the Six of Cups does represent the past and happy memories, and I think you're able to look at the past and be happy with how far you've come versus looking at what else needs to like necessarily dwelling on the future, if that makes sense. But you have to trust yourself. You know what I mean? You got to trust. Not necessarily trust yourself, but trust the relationship is strong enough to to handle whatever it is that you have to say. And yes, the Page of Cups talks about it needing growth, love, and nourishment to be healthy. That dream, this desire, this love, and it does. It takes time to get to know each person, and I don't think necessarily moving fast is what the biggest concern is. It's more of just like being vulnerable. That's the biggest thing. Being vulnerable is a hard part. And this person is very similar to you. I think they're very similar. They understand, because they're dealing with being, trusting their foundation of the relationship to you. But it takes one to start the whole trusting process. So just trust, guys. And see what the messenger oracles have to say for this. Let's see what the messenger oracle says. Seek the lesson. And Seek the Lesson does talk about, looking at the situation from the circumstance of learning from something, learning something, right? So, there's always a hidden meaning to everything that we do, always. And I feel like this is what what's emphasized here is that you have to see the situation from the bigger picture. Not just focusing on every little detail, but focusing on the overall. The overall. So with Seek the Lesson, don't get so caught up in the details. Look at everything that's around you. Connect the dots with the past situation. See how you've improved and you've grown from a situation that's either similar to this or exactly the same from the past, right? Everything has, we learn things twice. We go through situations more than twice or whatever, how many times we need to understand what we need from ourselves in any moment or in every moment that is repeated. So look for the patterns, look for the synchronicities, look for everything that seems to reoccur, because that's what the lesson is. Everything that keeps coming back, everything that restarts itself. You know what I mean? And see what needs to be seen. Not necessarily from the external point of view, but an internal point of view, right? What do you need to learn? What do you need to feel? What do you need to express? What situation needs to be handled differently from the past? How did that situation go before? And what can you do differently now? Because the Wheel of Fortune is the center of this reading here, right above Seek the Lesson. You know what to do this time.